From deep in the dark hollers of southeastern Kentucky, where the moon shines strong, the stories are strange, and your neighbor is probably your cousin. This is Appalachia, Not So Quiet. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I am your ghostly host, Hillbilly Phantom, and I'm joined by my beautiful, lovely wife,
Appalachian Shade.
Appalachian Shade. How are you doing today, my darling?
I'm cool.
You cool?
Yeah, got me a good nap in today.
Yeah, it was a nice day today, other than the heat.
Yeah, it was a good day for a nap under a cool blanket.
Oh yeah, definitely a good day for a nap. I didn't even want to be outside, but I heard my neighbors mowing the grass, and it was kind of a challenge. I was thinking about mowing my grass, but I decided against it. It was way too hot.
Yeah, way too hot. There's no way I'm stepping outside today.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Appalachia, Not So Quiet. So on our last episode, we talked about cryptids and creatures from the Appalachian area, even some that might possibly be right here at home in Knott County. But I want to point out a mistake that I made because thankfully I have an older brother that likes to make fun of me when I make mistakes.
And you didn't do your research.
I was going off memory rather than researching to make sure I was right when I said something. So I said the Zapruder film, talking about the Bigfoot film where you see Bigfoot strolling on the other side of the river. Yeah, I kind of got my conspiracy amateur videos mixed up there. So Zapruder is the JFK assassination video. That was not the one that I meant to reference. The Bigfoot video is the Patterson film. Patterson film, yes.
Note says, wow, looked at you funny when we recorded that.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know what I was talking about.
Well, I knew that was like JFK, but I was like, well, maybe he recorded more than one. I'm not sure.
No, I assure you that he did not. It was a completely different guy. So, yeah, my apologies to the assassination conspiracy crowd out there and the Bigfoot conspiracy crowd out there. I got the names of the films mixed up. So Patterson is the one I meant. And it was Patterson's wife, supposedly, that was in a gorilla suit, and that's what they filmed. But who knows? So I'm sorry, and thank you, brother, for correcting me there. Maybe I'll actually start making sure I'm right before I say things.
Shout out to the older little brother.
I told you we needed a fact checker. Maybe we can make him our fact checker.
He wants to do.
We'll start sending you the shows beforehand and letting you listen to them. So, getting back to our show for tonight, however, it's kind of a serious one tonight. Being Knott Countyans, we kind of have to talk about the fact that we just hit 3 years since the devastating floods.
Yeah, in 2022.
Yeah, 2022. July 28th, 2022.
Changed our county forever.
Yeah. It really, it scarred our county. Well, not just our county, but our hearts. It took 16 lives.
Be total.
Yeah. Right. I'm talking about just in Knott County.
Yeah.
It took 16 of our neighbors, our fellow Knott Countyans. So we decided that this show tonight, bear with us. It's a pretty emotional subject. It's still really fresh in our minds. But we're going to talk about that night. We're going to relive that night.
Yeah, anytime I see posts on social media or news or, just recaps of what happened, it still triggers me emotionally.
Right. Absolutely.
Anytime it rains heavily and we're getting flood warnings, it triggers me. My anxiety is through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there's a lot of people that way. I know several people who are, they find it really hard to go to sleep if it's raining.
I seen one of our neighbors that live closer to Troublesome Creek yesterday, and she posted that, anytime it rains, she still doesn't sleep well, that she still sits up all night watching the creek, even though it's just a small little rainstorm.
Yeah, it really was kind of a big defining moment for our county and for a lot of people our age, trying to come together and deal with a crisis like we had seen our own parents, our own elders do before. I remember a pretty bad flood when I was younger. It was in the 80s. and I was little, and they wouldn't let me come out of the house. But I remember that it was a pretty bad flood. Like our bridge just about washed out, and the bottom part of our yard was covered in water. And I remember my parents going down there and trying to dig trenches and stuff to try to keep the water from tearing up the driveway and stuff too bad.
Yeah, I remember flooding as a child too, but nothing of this magnitude.
Yeah, we had never seen
Yeah.
anything like this before. This was a completely different beast that hit that night. So, what exactly happened that night? Well, for several days before, I think starting on the 26th, we got a little bit of rain. But sometime around the evening of the 26th, it quit raining.
You actually went to work that day.
I went to work on that day and the next day, the 27th, and it was actually clear on the 27th. But we'd had these things, they called them trailing thunderstorms. And it means one trails right after another, and it continually affects the same area because the front is moving really slow, and the effects that like the humidity and stuff had, mixing with confronting with that front that was
Yeah,
moving
it just
through.
kind of stalled out.
Yeah, it
Or
just kept building these thunderstorms. So we had that brief, almost like 24-hour break. But then the evening of the 27th, or sometime at night on the 27th, around 8 o'clock, I think maybe, it kind of started to rain a little bit. But later that night, we had a weather radio,
Mhm.
and it was going off because flash flood warnings started being issued. Now, these trailing thunderstorms just kept pounding eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia. And that night, it was dumping as much as 4 inches of rain per hour, and the creeks filled up really fast. And that's when I was woke up by you.
Well, prior to waking you up with all the flash flooding warnings and everything, I did go and wake our kids up and have them lay on the couch. So I wasn't suspecting it to get as bad as it
Right, to
was.
get that bad.
Yeah, but I
What time in the
wanted.
morning was it when you
Um,
you finally got up and you were like, I better check this out?
yeah, it was about 1 o'clock, I
Yeah.
think, and I went outside and looked, and I could tell that there was water over the culverts running down the road, and I was like, "Well, that's obvious. We all, if
Yeah,
it becomes flooding, we lose those. They get washed out and they get repaired." But just I wanted to have the kids as close as possible to us, so I moved them into the living room on the couches.
right. We'd had flooding before,
Yeah,
so seeing water up high enough to wash over the top of the culverts and stuff because the culverts get stopped up. That's not really that unusual if we're having, flood warnings and stuff, but was not expecting what happened.
and so but I still listen at the rain and stuff. I was like, this just seems different this time. Just seems different. So I sat up for a little bit longer and I laid back down with you because I was like, I'm not going to aggravate him with all
Yeah, I was
this
supposed
flood
to I was
warning.
supposed to work
Yeah, I
the
was
next
like, I'm not
morning.
going to put him up early. He's got to go to work. It's probably going to end up being nothing. He's not going to have to go to work, but I'm just going to let him sleep in. So I laid back down and it was around 2:30, I think, when the weather radio and my phone went off. And it was a very suspicious warning because I had never seen this before in my life. It said flood emergency. And of course, I'm like, what in the hell is a flood emergency?
I guess that means it's definitely flooding. You better
And as soon
take
as that
action.
text came through, we lost power.
Yeah.
The power went out. And so get up, I look outside, and I can see that the water is now under our storage building. And I'm like, this could get a little messy. So it's like it could get, toward the end of the lower part of the house where our room is closer to the creek. So I make the kids get up and put decent clothes on out of their pajamas. And I was like, just put some flip flops on or some tennis shoes just in case. And I sat there a little bit longer and I don't know how it was possible, but another alert came through on my phone, flood emergency. And it just kept popping, flood emergency, like over and over again. And so proceeded to wake you up and I was like, honey, it's different this time. It says flood emergency. And you're like, what? It's just a flash flood warning.
Yeah. Well,
Don't worry about it.
I just thought that you were probably overreacting because, we got these thunderstorms and, they give flash flood warnings and the creek would get up and you could see it and you'd be like, oh, oh my gosh. And then nothing would really too much would come of it. But this time you were panicking pretty good
Yeah. And I kept
and
telling you it was different this time.
right.
It's
And
different.
I decided, I was like, well, I'm going to get up and check this out for myself. And I knew right away, as soon as I stuck my head out the front door,
Yeah.
that you weren't exaggerating.
Yeah, at that time, I had already been outside and moved to the vehicles, and you're like, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like,
Yeah, you pulled the
No."
vehicles up on the hill, and I was, why would she do that? There's no way it's this bad. And then, yeah, I stuck my head out the window, and where our cars had been sitting, it was water standing there.
Yeah.
And it was up, I mean, just about to go into my building, and it was rising fast around the house. So yeah, we rushed the kids off to my mom's house.
We took the kids and I had to wake her up and
Yeah.
took the kids and the dog. We didn't move the cat because we didn't want to.
Well, we couldn't
She,
have found her if we'd wanted to,
yeah.
probably. She
Well,
liked to hide.
she just gets upset when something, aggravates her and she's disturbed.
Yeah.
So we kind of just left her there till you see if it got any worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have run in there and tried to find her if
Yeah.
if it kept getting any higher. But yeah, we sat there in the truck, uh,
So
backed up on the hill there,
till wee
and
hours in the morning.
and watched it. Yeah, with the headlights on and recording on our phones, and it did keep rising there for a while. But thankfully, right about the time that daybreak hit, the rain let up some, and the water actually started going down. And I mean, it was right up; it was dead level with the floor of my little outbuilding I have,
And
which is actually sitting up a little bit. It's probably a good 8 to 10 inches off the
and it
ground.
was under our house was like a swimming pool. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, it was all up under our house. It was pouring out of the little vents that are in our concrete blocks around the bottom of our house. It was just water just pouring out of those vents. It
there was
was
water
just,
coming from places beyond the creek. It was the hillside. It was just the entire hillside was like a
yeah.
waterfall.
Yeah, the water coming off the hill behind our house, it was, I mean, yeah, it was like a waterfall. It was like a
Yeah.
river.
There was no waterfall there previously. It was just coming out in blankets
Yeah.
off and under the house.
Yeah, it was an insane amount of water.
And I remember the conversation we had. We're just like praying, like, God, please just let it stop.
Yeah, we prayed and prayed so hard, please just let it stop. Don't let it take our house. And thankfully, like I said, it did start letting up and the water actually started receding. And that's when we decided, well, we need to go on down the holler.
Yeah, we needed to call and let the family know we're okay because we didn't think the extent of the damage we was going to be what we seen when we went out. We just
Right.
thought maybe our culverts were blocked
Like I said,
and the
we
water
had
had
dealt,
nowhere to go.
yeah, we had dealt with flooding before, our creek getting up, blocking our culverts, washing them out. This was, this had happened a couple of times over the 10 or so years we'd lived there. And, well, no, it hadn't been 10 years, probably about 6 years, 7 years, but it happened a couple of times. And so this time, the culvert for the main road leading out from our house, it had washed off the top layer of soil, but there was still a little bit of dirt and rock on top of the culvert, but it was still impassable.
Yeah, it was like a 4 foot
Yeah.
drop off.
So we decided to walk a trail that actually goes along the side of the hill to a cemetery. And we walked along through there. And once we got about to the cemetery, you could see in the clearings of the trees, you could see down below the road leading out. And there was no road. It was just a lake. It was just water where there used to be a road, and the lawns of our neighbors, it was just water.
And you could just hear the water. It was so loud.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all you could hear was water just roaring everywhere.
And just seeing that, it made my knees weak because
Yeah.
I just had this heartfelt feeling that our neighbors were in trouble. We'd lost neighbors.
Yeah.
I was devastated.
I'd never seen anything like that. I have lived there my entire life. Well, I mean, a short stint. I moved out and lived with my brother for a little while, but most of my life I've spent on that land, and I'd never seen the water get up like that. Never seen it like that. And I convinced you. You were, yeah, like you said, you were weak in the knees. You didn't want to go any further. You were about to cry.
I was just praying.
And I grabbed your hand and I urged you to come on, let's keep going. Let's get down here, try to get some cell service. We got further down on the other side of the cemetery, and there was another pretty good clearing in the trees where you could see down below, and it was just water everywhere. And you could see one of our neighbors, their trailer, like the water was right up to their trailer, And then another neighbor, their house luckily is sitting up on just a little bit of a hill, and they were just barely above the water, but you couldn't see the road at all. The driveway is nothing, everything. And that's when I broke down. And then you had to urge me to get up because I was just crying. I was like, honey, what are we going to do?
The only thing we could do was
I
call,
thought it was the end of the world. I
Mhm.
mean, it looked like everything was gone.
and we had only seen parts.
Yeah, we'd
But
only seen like our little quarter mile maybe stretch of road here, and it was just a lake. I still can't put it into words what I was feeling exactly because I'd never even imagined that that could happen. Yeah, we finally decided, well, we're not getting any cell service. We're going to
today,
have to walk a lot further. So we decided we weren't getting any further at that time, and we weren't getting any cell service. So we made the trek back to my mom's house. And when we got back, we told her all about what we had seen, and we decided to grab some satchels and things and grab some provisions, some water and pop and snacks and things.
yeah, because we didn't know how far we were going to have to trek
Yeah,
to get
yeah. We
any
were like,
service or help.
right. We were thinking, heck, we might have to track the hills all the way to Hazard to get cell service. But we got our oldest son to come with us, and it took us 2 or 3 hours to finally get everything together and decide to head out. When we did, we seen that the water went down quite a bit. We went over to our neighbors across the creek and talked to them, and there was a huge tree down right at the edge of their yard, and you couldn't get on down the road from that point.
We had to go back.
So we
through.
had to go back and go across the little trail again. But now the water had receded to the point it didn't look like a lake there down there anymore. So
In
we were
our
able,
holler.
yeah, we were able to go on down off that trail onto the road, and we walked the road the rest of the way. Now along the way, we saw neighbors. They were coming out of their homes, and we were, hey, you guys all right? It seemed that everybody was okay.
You could just see the shock on their faces.
Right. Yeah. Everybody was just, oh my God, where did that come from? That was insane. But the water got way up onto like people's porches and stuff. But I don't think anybody had any water in their homes, and nobody had any of their homes destroyed by
No,
the flood and washed away.
I think our house, maybe one other, is probably the one's hardest hit on
Yeah.
our holler.
There was one of our neighbors down the holler. He has like a little guest house that's separate from his main house. It sits off to the side of his driveway, close to the creek bank, and a big, huge section of that creek bank washed out, and like his driveway collapsed partially. And it was right at the corner of that little guest house, and it was just teetering on the edge. Man, it looked like it might just fall over into the creek at any time. But there were some bridges washed away, stuff like that. But like I said, we didn't see any. All of our neighbors seemed to be okay, and their homes were still intact. Now we get down to the mouth of our holler where it joins the main creek because we're in a holler in a holler
In a holler.
in a holler. We live up a holler that's branches off of another holler. But when we got there, we started seeing more devastation. We saw pieces of what we can only assume were probably people's houses.
Storage shed.
There's trees down there. Yeah, there was a storage shed sitting right in the road. It had washed down from on up the creek, and it got stuck right on the top of that culvert there, and it was just kind of sitting on the edge of the road. And we have some neighbors that live right there, right at the mouth of the holler, and they were outside. We talked with them; they seemed to be fine. And then we continued walking down the main holler, and saw more neighbors. Checked on everybody as we went. More bridges were gone.
One of my former students, I knocked on her door, but I think that him and his mama had already left.
They got out of there before the floods got
Yeah.
bad, probably.
Yeah, because it was right up to their door.
Yeah, there was pavement, like there was big cracks in the pavement and places where it buckled up, and there was big slabs of pavement that broke free and were sitting along the sides of the road.
Just the amount of cars that were crumpled in the bridges,
Oh
though,
yeah, yeah. There was a
was-
lot of cars that apparently got carried away by the floodwaters, and yeah, they crashed into bridges and stuff.
just
And
looked
we
like,
got
it looked
down.
like pop cans,
Yeah, they were just
smashed.
smashed. Yeah, somebody smashes a pop can against their head. That's what they looked like. Thankfully, there was nobody in them. Yeah. But we got down to a certain point, another one of those little hollers that branches off the main holler, and we got to that point, and that was as far as we could go. From that point on, it was still a lake, and you couldn't even see the road. We didn't even know if the road was still there. It didn't look like it was, but we were thankfully able to get a little bit of cell service there. It was hard to
Yeah, we were running around like chickens with our heads cut off, like holding our phones in the air and one leg out,
One
and
leg up, yeah.
so
Uh,
standing on our heads. But
trying to keep that one little bar so that we could call people.
it was
We
like,
were thankfully able to get through to some family and friends, and I got through to my work and explained to them what happened and everything. But unfortunately, there was a lot of your family who were way over on the other side of the county.
like 5 days before I even heard from my family,
Yeah,
and
they were kind of like us. If they didn't have power, it was hard to communicate because internet
cell phone
is
towers was out all over the county,
yeah, internet was gone. Cell phones weren't working hardly at all.
and that really got to me because, you were able to be like, "Oh, I got a hold of my family. I'm fine now," but not being able to hear from mine, just it really rattled me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we weren't sure what may have happened on that end of the county, and we were worried. Thankfully, it turned out that it wasn't quite as bad on that end, but it was still
It
pretty
wasn't
bad.
it wasn't quite as bad where my parents live, but
Yeah.
locally, the main strip there, then their community was devastated just as bad as ours.
Yeah, and none of us got it as bad as the communities on down Troublesome Creek. We went back home and we waited through the next day, and nobody ever showed up. We never saw anybody, never heard anything. We did help our neighbors. We all kind of got together with our chainsaws and cut up that big tree that fell, got rid of it, got it out of the way,
In hopes that heavy equipment was coming.
in hopes that yeah, somebody would be coming to help us out, fill in that culvert so we could get out of there and
Yeah,
stuff.
usually when we get flooding like that, it's like that same day that it happened or the day after. There's heavy equipment there. The county's waiting and comes in and fixes it.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen that time, and it was just like a shock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were still kind of in the dark though about how widespread and just how awful this was
Yeah.
until the third day, and we finally made a plan. We spent a lot of that
Yeah.
day.
Well, I
Uh,
kept telling you that if we don't get out of here, we're gonna starve to death because they're
right.
the cavalry's not coming this time.
Yeah. By
It's
the
different this time. They're
yeah
not coming.
that third day, it was like, okay, if we don't get out of here, we're going to run out of food and water. Uh, Nobody showed up. We've got to do something. We
So we're
spent
so far off the beaten path that it was still several days before anybody
yeah, it
could get
was.
to us.
It was another like 3 days before we ever saw anybody from the National Guard or any kind of
So
emergency service people. There was a helicopter that flew over.
yeah.
When was that? The second day or third day?
It was
Me?
the third day when I seen that and I was like, they're not coming. When I
Yeah,
seen the helicopter and the National Guard guy looking out the window at us, and I was like, they're not coming.
yeah. Well, I mean, they were mainly flying around trying to see,
Yeah.
is everything anything
Yeah,
devastated?
they would
Is
wave at us and
is
things like
everybody
that.
alive? Yeah,
We
they
would
were just
kind of give
flying
them
over
the
like,
thumbs up, like we're good.
yeah,
But
okay, those people were fine. Their house isn't washed away or anything. Uh, but like I said, that third day we made a plan to get out, and we spent the better part of the day stacking rocks and mud and trees, anything we could find to try to build up that part that had washed out on the culvert. And we finally got it built up to the point we thought that we could get out because we do have a very large
monster truck.
truck. It's got a lift on it, so it sits up pretty high. So we thought we could get it out, and we kind of did skin up the bumpers a little bit, I think, because it still dragged. It was a really deep rut
But
across that culvert.
at that point, we didn't care. We just knew
Yeah,
we
yeah,
needed to get out.
yeah. We had to get out though, so but we were able to get it out. It worked, and we got the truck out, and we went on down to where we had gotten the previous time by walking, and the waters had went down enough. The road was still there, but it was busted up really bad, and you kind of had to take your time and watch yourself
Yeah, definitely
driving out.
small cars or SUVs couldn't have made it
Yeah, yeah, you had
by
to have
that
a
time.
pickup truck, and we saw other trucks kind of starting to get out, and when we got out of main holler to the Troublesome Creek, that's when we really started seeing the devastation because those homes on that end of our holler, at the mouth of our holler, they were completely destroyed by the waters.
They were gone,
Yeah.
completely wiped out.
And then as we traveled down Troublesome, we got down closer to the county line and we seen the devastation there. There was so many houses there, at least 10 houses, I think, standing pretty much in a row down through there,
They were just leveled.
and they were gone.
Well, there was one
There was
sitting in the
one,
middle of the street.
there was one that had flowed into the middle of the street, and there was that brick house was still standing, but the water had got in it
Yeah,
and
and it
completely destroyed the
and
inside.
that was a really
And
tall
that was a
house.
really tall house, and you could see the debris line on the side of the hill. And we've got, like I said, we've got a jacked up truck. It stands, 7, 8 feet tall, and the water line on the side of the hill is 4 or 5 feet above our truck. Troublesome Creek is usually about 20 feet down below the roadway.
Yeah.
So I was just in shock. I could not believe that the water got up that high. And all of those houses, like I said, there was probably 10 right in a row there, but there were other houses sitting off of another branch that goes up the hill. There's all kinds of houses sitting there. The fire department is there. They all got destroyed.
It just looks like a wave came through and knocked them all off their foundation.
Yeah.
Just flattened them.
Yeah, just flattened them, washed them off. And that's when we started hearing stories from the people down that way. We were stopping and talking with some of the people we knew. They had thankfully gotten out of their houses, but there were some people down below them. They
had lost a couple of their family members.
Yeah, they weren't able to get away in time.
I think in just that little stretch of area, there's 5 that we lost.
Yeah, I think there was 4 or 5 people that died just right there out of the that's 16 that was.
And this sounds eerie. I know. Days after that, every time we would drive down through there, I could just hear screams. Like, I guess in my mind, but
Yeah.
you just hear people screaming for help.
Well, it was hard to look at that and not kind of have it playing in your head what happened.
Like I just
And
even going the other way, I just heard I could hear the screams in my head.
and we heard that from those neighbors all down through that area, and it was even down, it was out of Knott County into Perry County. There was more houses on down through there, completely devastated, completely destroyed, people washed away. And there was people telling us stories of, getting out of their house just in time to see it get washed away, and then hearing their neighbors
Or trying to get their
crying
neighbors
for
out.
help and unable to get to them, and then hearing the cries fade away as they're washed down the river.
I know one of the girls that I worked with went to a couple's house and they had their grandson there, and she had tied a rope to their porch, and she scaled over and got the grandson out up on the hill, and she was going to come back and help his grandparents out, and they're like, no, we're not going to, because the elderly man wasn't able. And she said she no more got back to the bank that the porch broke away from the double wide and washed the home away right in front of her.
Yeah, that's awful. And that's the kind of things we kept hearing the more we talked to people, that they tried to help, they wanted to help, but they couldn't. It was just one of the worst things you could possibly imagine. I'd never seen devastation like that.
It's like something you would see in a third world country.
Yeah, I mean, you see this stuff on the news. They have some kind of big tsunami over in Asia, and you see the devastation from that. And we're driving down Troublesome Creek in Knott County, Kentucky, and it looks like that. And man, that just tears your heart out, because that's your home. These are your family, your friends, your people, your fellow Knott Countyans, and they're suffering. So we decided right away that we had to start helping, because like I said, nobody come to check on us. Nobody brought us any provisions. So we knew we had to.
Yeah, I mean, we needed help, but not as much as these other people. I
Right.
felt like.
Yeah. We knew we needed to help. We needed to do something. Thankfully, we had connections. We had people that we had worked with before, and a lot of nonprofits, a lot of churches that started helping out. And you actually helped get the Lots Creek Community School, whatever you want to call it.
That third day that when we went out, I actually received a text message from my supervisor, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to go to Car Creek Elementary and help the other Frisk fold clothing. And I was kind of rude to him when he texted me, and I said, listen, I am covered in mud. I have no water. I have no food. I just got my truck out. We had to build a bridge out of mud and rocks and trees to get my truck out.
Right.
I'm not coming there. I said, my neighbors need me.
Right. Yeah, we had
And that's the
plenty of
last time
devastation.
I communicated with him till school started. So I think he's like, okay, I'm going to leave her alone. He's a really
Yeah.
nice guy, and I probably shouldn't have been rude to him, but at
Well,
the time, it wasn't time to tell me to come to work.
I don't think. Well, but you did go to work, but
I
I don't think he understood what the situation was on our side of the
right,
county, and so you went to Cordia, and you were able to work with them and help get set up a place for donations to come in, and those donations to go out via people like us to the community.
and I was kind of winging it then too because I had never experienced anything like this in my life, and donations started to come in, and I was getting overwhelmed because of the lack of help because there were still people stranded
Yeah.
and just trying to sort things out what my next move was because I needed to be there, but also people couldn't get out and I needed to deliver supplies. And I remember looking out the window and I felt defeated because I was like, there's so many people needs help. And I mean, there was other schools and stuff that had it, but I had families that went to Cordia that needed me, and I knew them personally. But I just felt defeated that I couldn't sort all this out. And a group that had been coming and visiting our school and helping our kids hope for Appalachia. These ladies come up in purple shirts, and I'd never been so tickled to see those purple shirts come up that sidewalk in my life. And they was like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I need so much." And they're like, "That's okay. There's plenty of us. What do you need?" And they was like, "We've been through this before." And so they went directly into the cafeteria and started separating things, making a list of what we were going to need. And it's like, you just sit here, you take your phone calls, you let us know what's coming in, what we can do for you. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Amazing people. They
Just
really were. Yeah,
we're
they were right there, man. They were boots on the ground.
the whole time. They stayed the
Uh,
whole time. It was
yeah,
over a
yeah,
month that they were there.
yeah. Eventually, they were able to get some showers and things like that set up
Yeah.
there at the school.
Things I didn't even think of that we
Uh,
needed. They got
laundry
and they were like, "You
facilities.
need camp showers," because I was like, "This is nice having the showers there. There's people that can't get out.
Right. Yeah,
There's
they're stuck at
there's
their
people that
houses.
can't get there, and they're like, you need camp showers." And people were just sending stuff through Amazon. There was boxes of stuff. Like I was just making lists of we need camp showers, and we were so blessed. Just people are seeing my Facebook post and sending things, and I was able to take it out and deliver it.
Yeah, the
Um,
response when this happened was incredible. I mean, you had all of these, like I said, you had nonprofits and churches and things that really came to the rescue, showed up, put the full force of whatever they had into helping our county, and I don't think we could ever thank them enough. But we had all kinds of community members as well.
yeah, some of the roads started opening up. Some of the school staff started showing up and helping out.
Yeah,
It was great.
There were students showing up there helping
Hmm.
us unload stuff and load stuff.
Yeah.
It was a really beautiful thing that kind of emerged out of this horrible.
It sounds so bad, but our community needed maybe this. I'm not saying needed the flooding, but the support, tell the support for each other. Because I felt like we were also just torn apart through COVID. And we really didn't even know who our neighbors were anymore because we couldn't communicate with them. And it kind of brought us all back together and to support each other. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
it
was,
did. I mean, it was something just awful and terrible, but it did kind of help heal and bring together a lot of Knott County neighbors that we had never even talked to before. We were bringing them supplies, bringing them water, dinners that churches had donated, and things of that
yeah,
nature, and saying, "Here, do you need this?" And that they sometimes they would just break down crying. They're like, "I don't even know who you are,
but
but
thank you.
thank you so much." And it was a very rewarding experience for me being able to feel like I did something good
And that made me happy to see you and the boys and your mama do that because that's what I do every day, and I kinda got to take you to work with me.
Yeah.
So, it was I
It
loved
was
it.
great. It was on a just incredibly huge level because there was just so many people that needed help, and we were doing all we could. But thankfully, yeah, there was a lot of community members that started stepping
Yeah.
up when they were able to get out of their homes. They showed up on four-wheelers and side by sides and pickup trucks, whatever they had.
Horseback,
Horseback. Yeah,
yeah.
there was people showing up on horseback and loading up supplies, and they're like, "I know people who need this stuff. I'm going to take it to them." And it was just a wonderful experience that came out of this horrible tragedy.
And then we had team members from called Team Rubicon that came in to help with what they call muck that would help was helping clean up. And Hope for Appalachia had a team as well that was helping with that. And ASP, which they're still there on the ground. ASP is after this many years helping build new homes.
Yeah, yeah, they're still helping
So
build stuff.
so the groups that actually worked with us during the 2022 flood was, like I mentioned, Hope for Appalachia, my purple shirts, which like to call them, my purple shirt angels, Team Rubicon, and we had ASP. Of course, the Frisk ladies, Family Resource Ladies in Knott County, are amazing, and they don't get enough recognition for what they do. They are an amazing group of ladies. And then we delivered meals for a while. We had a lot of help with, which they helped with donation and organizing as well. Knott County Drug Abuse Council and then the Knott County Lions Club fed people. And
Yeah,
so did what they call Kate's food tents. Roscoe's daughter, man, that girl can cook. There was no lack of food for sources. There was food trailers in there feeding people for free.
yeah, yeah.
I
That was
mean,
something else
whatever
amazing.
you wanted.
Yeah, you had these people with food trucks that were pulling in. They were in state and out of state. They were pulling up and using their products that they paid a lot of money for,
Feeding us for free.
and they're feeding our community for free, helping us out in
It's kind of
this
like
horrible time.
they knew us, that as Southern people, when something bad's happening, we cook you a meal.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the first thing you see. When somebody in the family passes away, there's a bucket of fried chicken coming at your door.
yeah,
Absolutely.
or some bologna salad sandwiches.
Or
So
bologna salad. Yeah, absolutely. Potato salad. Gotta have the potato salad.
yeah,
Well, we've had the pleasure of talking with a lot of people about the experiences they had in the floods. We even have a really great book,
yes,
uh,
flooded yet not alone.
Flooded Yet Not Alone. Not is spelled Knott, of course, for Knott County. And it's just kind of a compilation of stories from people in the county that were affected by the flood, what they remember
Yeah,
about that night, what the Knott County people experienced during that tragic flood. And then it talks about how most everybody in our community feels that God pulled them through it. In fact, right on the book, it says, "Their voices reached unto heaven, and the Lord sent help from far and wide."
there had to definitely be mass praying that night.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Everybody was praying. We were.
yeah,
We were praying and praying, and it definitely worked. It helped. Unfortunately, the lives that were lost that night. This was truly a devastating night for everybody in the Knott County area, especially.
yeah. It's gonna be something that's talked about for years.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I'm not trying to take away from the devastation that happened in Perry County, Floyd County, Breathitt County. They were hit really hard too. It devastated a lot of people, but man, Knott County, I'd never seen anything like that. There were that have been washed away down towards Breathitt County. When was finally able to return to work, I got to see some of the devastation down through there, and it was pretty incredible. The North Fork of the Kentucky River is a beast.
Yeah, and it's what 100 feet from the.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's way down there. But all those tributaries, including Troublesome, which devastated our area, it just added to the fuel of the Kentucky North Fork of the Kentucky River. And I still get a knot in my gut when I think about that night. Reliving it on here is it's hard. You talk about that stuff and it brings back so many images and feelings. But we wanted to talk about that night. It's been 3 years. You can still see the scars. There's still scars everywhere. We've not fully recovered or repaired There's still homes sitting with mud caked all over them. They were completely submerged
We're
in the
still trying
waters.
to clean up, and it seems like another one comes.
Yeah, we just had a flood this past February, and it did some damage to the repairs that were already made from 2022. So it's a long, hard recovery, and Mother Nature hasn't made it any easier, giving us plenty of rain and floods since then. Thankfully, nothing quite that devastating. They called it a once in a 1,000-year flood, and I hope it is, because I want to be long gone before something like that ever happens again.
Definitely.
That was very scary. But we hopefully maybe we can talk about this again sometime and bring in some guests with their stories of that night. And like I said, check out this book, Flooded Yet Not Alone by Miriam Moyer.
And I'm pretty sure all the profit made from this goes to flood victims or helping build their homes.
Well, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a good reason to buy this book. You get to read all these stories of different people, their experiences on that night, and then you get to help them out because the proceeds from this book go to help all those flood victims. So definitely check that book out. I think that we've probably reached the end of our time, Shade. I think this has been a pretty good episode. It was heart wrenching to relive those days, but I think it
definitely visions I'm never gonna forget.
Yeah, it's something that's going to stick. You really have to relate it to like 9/11. Like we're never gonna forget that.
No.
It was horrible and devastating, and I just keep repeating the same words because I don't know how else to put it. But I think that
it's traumatic.
Yeah, traumatic. That's a good word to put it. Like I said, a lot of people have trouble sleeping now.
It definitely affects everyone mentally, physically, emotionally. Like it's all there.
It's something that Knott County and all of us that live in Knott County, we're probably going to be dealing with it the rest of our lives. The memory of that. I know that there was a big flood in 1955, I think, and the barber that I used to go to, me and my dad went to, he had a picture of downtown Hazard, Kentucky, completely underwater, and it said the flood of 1955 at the bottom of it. And every time I went in there, I would purposefully ask about that picture because him and my dad would start talking about the floods and just how crazy it was. So maybe we'll be doing that, sitting on our porch, telling our grandkids or great grandkids.
Yeah. Our littlest one will be telling his great grandkids. So
I'm sure he'll remember it. He was 7, and that's something traumatic for a 7-year-old to go through. So I'm sure he's definitely going to remember that for the rest of his life. But I hope he remembers the love and faith and hope that rose from the ashes of that night, and that he instills that in his children. Well, I think we're about out of time. We're going to call this one done. I think this was a great episode, and I hope that you've all enjoyed it. And send us your stories of that night.
Yeah,
let us know what you went
comments.
through. Yeah.
Let
Comments.
us know.
We may put up some of our photos and videos of that devastating flood that we took ourselves. We may put those up on our TikTok or something. Yeah, be sure to like and share the podcast.
Leave us a comment.
Yeah, we kind of hit a milestone. To me, anyway. We're
to get started.
We're past 100 listens.
Yeah,
142 to be exact. So we're probably going to break 150 with this one. Maybe. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So that will just incredible. I mean, I think hitting 100 people listening to us, really 100 people actually care enough to listen. But that's awesome, and I can't thank all of you enough for tuning in, and of course my oldest brother for correcting me.
Little brother.
Thanks again for that, brother. From us to you, keep the faith, keep praying. Things will get better. We love you all. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us. We'll see you on the next exciting episode of Appalachian Not So Quiet. That'll be Friday. Till then, I'm your ghost with the most, Hillbilly Phantom, and my lovely wife,
Appalachian Shade.
I love you, baby. I love all of you. Good night, and God bless. And remember to watch out for them boogers.